Sup guys, King here, bringing you a new video regarding Resident Evil 9 Requiem. So I've been waiting for a few days for some of the info to come out before making a video, plus busy with life. So yeah, before I begin, remember to like and subscribe because I've got a lot of stuff to go through and discuss. So yeah, before I begin, I'm going to read the synopsis for this, which is very important that we got. So let's start with that first, because I didn't read it before, but there's some interesting stuff they mention here. So, about Requiem for the Dead, Nightmare for the Living. Resident Evil Requiem is the 9th title in the mainline Resident Evil series. Prepare to escape death in a heart-stomping experience that will chill you to your core. A new era of survival horror begins in 2026. Technological advancements combined with the development team's depth of experience combine in a story with rich characters and gameplay that's more immersive than ever before. So yeah, what's so important about this description here? That one line, a new era of survival horror begins in 2026. Now a lot of people will probably assume, okay, so this game's going to begin a new era of a storyline going forward. No. What I see this meaning is that going forward, a lot of the RE games we're going to get, starting with RE9 and going forward, are all going to be survival horror games, okay? They're going to be new updated survival horror games. This is going to include all the spin-offs that they do, or technically the remakes. So going forward, RE9, potentially RE0 remake, Code Veronica remake, potentially RE1 remake with the RE done in the RE engine, and possibly, and I'm really hoping, because at this point it needs to happen now because of this game, Outbreak 1 and 2 remakes. So that's, you know, there's the potential. There's potential for at least 5 remakes that deal with survival horror, that are exclusive and, you know, do with survival horror and zombies and Raccoon City. So you got all of that in there tied in a nice little bow if they decide to do that, which I think they are going to do. Are we going to get an RE10 in between that? Properly. But I feel like after they do those remakes and we get the next mainline RE game after 9, going forward the next game after that will be RE5, and that's pretty much a co-op action game. So once we enter that remake, the next games after that are probably going to be very multiplayer co-op focused, which will probably include Revelations remake, Revelations 2 remake, and then of course ending at Resident Evil 6 remake, which I imagine Capcom would want to get to at the very end and reconfigure, re-evaluate, you know, do a complete overhaul, like I've been saying. Like, yeah, it needs to happen, but I think we're years away from that. But yeah, I feel like this is what the description really means, like this era beginning with RE9. Don't worry guys, it's not going to be a straight up action series. We're still focusing on horror, that's the key thing. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about the stuff that we have learned now coming out of with the embargo that's lifted now. So it's pretty much confirmed that Resident Evil 9 is going to be in first and third person camera, which is great. It's something I've been saying like very early on, you know, when we were waiting for RE9. I've been saying, like, you know, since RE8's Gold Edition came out, that the whole reason they even implemented the third person element into that game was as an experiment to see if they could pull off doing both first and third person for RE9. And yeah, they did it. They're doing it. It's like, yeah, that was the precursor, if you will, to this. So yeah, it makes sense that they're doing that. Which is good. Look, I'm all for the first person camera and the third person camera. Which one am I going to play first? I'm going to play in first person first, because for me the first person just works so much better as a horror experience. It really does. You know, people like to complain and bitch about like the camera and that. Like, look, if you feel like Resident Evil isn't Resident Evil because of the camera perspective, then you're not really, I'm just going to say, you're not really a fan. You're not a hardcore fan. And you're complaining over the smallest thing. Now, if you're a person who suffers from motion sickness, I 100% understand that. I get that, then yeah, this game's probably not for you. But if you're one of those people who's played first-person games, and then you're playing this, and you're like, oh, this isn't scary, or this isn't Resident Evil, it's like, no, I really don't know what else to say. Like, if you guys remember the early developments for this game, for the original Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 1 was envisioned as a first-person co-op action game. That was the original Resident Evil, apparently. If you also include the fact they were trying to remake Sweet Home, was it or something, until they drifted to that version, and then we finally ended up with the survival horror version with the fixed camera angles. But really, that was more of a gimmick. That was more of an accident, if you will, that happened. So yeah, like, this is Capcom going to its roots. Like, when they're doing a co-op game, that's them going to their roots. When they're doing a first-person RE game and trying to make it look cool, that's them going back to their roots. Like, it was a happy accident, but like for that era, for this time now, that stuff just doesn't work anymore. You need to. It's one of the reasons I like Resident Evil as well. It changes the formula every time, and it's good, in my opinion. It's good, it's simple, it's effective. It's not like something like Assassin's Creed, for example, with Ubisoft, where they just make this big, massive game, and it's like, oh, this is pretty boring. Like, I get it, there's people who like that stuff. I didn't. I played Origins, I played Odyssey, and that was enough for me. Like, I cannot be bothered to go back and play those games again. It's just so repetitive. But with Resident Evil, it keeps it fresh every time, you know, like, and I like that. But yeah, camera perspectives, great. In terms of the description for the game is, yeah, I'm gonna go into that in a second. I'm gonna have to talk about some other stuff now, but yeah. So, well, actually, I can go into it now because technically this is important. From all the previews that people have played, they've pretty much revealed that the setting that the game starts in, or at least the portion that they played, that first 30 minutes that they played, it takes place in an abandoned hospital. It takes place in an abandoned hospital or mental asylum, and you get chased by this giant creature, this stalkish creature that's chasing you around this empty, abandoned hospital. Does that not sound familiar, guys? Does that not sound familiar? Remember this post from Dusk Golem back in November 5th, 2024? I've been asked multiple times in multiple places about that Resident Evil 9 rumor floating around about the hospital Goatman Stalker thing. Was also emailed about it months ago, about it 2 months ago. It's fake as far as I know. So Dusk Golem is saying that whole rumor about an abandoned hospital and a stalker enemy is bullshit. And yet, a few months later, we're at the reveal of RE9 and the game takes place in an abandoned hospital and you're getting stalked by a giant creature. Now, who started those rumors? Who started those supposed leaks? Lutus Fix. Now, I've been pretty adamant about not believing him, and after, you know, the game wasn't revealed at State of Play, and to be fair, I thought it was going to be revealed at State of Play, it wasn't, so I was wrong on that account as well. You know, I pretty much assumed he's lying. But here's the thing, the guy is adamant. He's very adamant that the stuff he talked about regarding Joe and the abandoned hospital and that was all legit. And now he's posted some new stuff, and we're going to read through that, yeah? So yeah, he watched the trailer, and yeah, this is what you just say. Yes, it's the same hospital. So he's saying this is the same because think about it, guys. He was the one who leaked back in May that RE9 takes place in an abandoned hospital, and you get stalked by this giant creature. Now, in his description, he said it was a goat-like creature with teeth on its belly and black substance dripping off it. And there was some other stuff as well, like there were zombie enemies and there were hunters, and more importantly, you played as Jill. Clearly, you're playing as Grace here, but yeah, let's read through some of his comments. Yes, so he's saying it's the same hospital. I'm not a troll, but at the moment, everything that has been released seems different. I would have no reason to lie to you for a whole year. I stand by everything I saw, and yes, it is the same hospital. Just go back to my previous posts and see the descriptions I made about it. However, I played with Jill, not with Grace. And then, of course, some people, you know, asked him, damn, you were right. Just started listening to people who saw the close screaming. Everything you said about hospital and RE2 inventory system and injections for heal is actually true. I don't remember him mentioning the injection heals, but I do remember him mentioning the RE2 inventory system, so I guess that's back. I haven't read anything about people mentioning that the inventory system is similar to RE2 Remake. Possibly the only thing is you took Grace for Jill. Do you really think I would spend a whole year lying? That doesn't make sense, but I played Jill and I stand by that. But at this point, I'm starting to think it was a different version. Yeah, I never understand why would anyone giving information would lie. What's in there for you, for them? But people jump to conclusions and start hating as if it's some ulterior motives, which is stupid. Maybe intentionally they swapped Grace for Jill for playtest if they didn't want it to reveal me Prodigus. And he's like, yeah, maybe that's it. But anyway, I never had bad intentions. So he's sounding very sincere. Like, he even admits that the Leon stuff, yeah, that he didn't expect that to be fake or BS or whatever. Like, he was shocked. He was shocked when the game wasn't revealed. He's acting very like, what the hell happened? Like, my sources told me this and it didn't pan out. What? But he's sticking with his story regarding Jill. He's not changing that. He's sticking with that 100%. I play tested the game. It was an abandoned hospital. You get chased by a giant monster, whatever. There's enemies and that, etc. And you play as Jill. He's sticking with that. He's not changing his story. He's not changing his story at all. That said, one of the key things you have to remember is that when he was discussing the leaks for that, when he was discussing the playtest, he said that it took place, at least from the writing he discovered, it took place in a Russian supposedly Russian area or Eastern European area because of the writing that was around the hospital area. But from the previews we've gotten, the location clearly is American based. So I don't know what's going on here. I really don't. Is it possible he was telling the truth from the get-go? Is it possible that the version he played was an alternative version that Capcom scrapped? Because here's the thing, he playtested this. He's saying he playtested this back in 2024. I think he said 2024. Unless he playtested this in 2023 and then he made that post in 2024. But he said he playtested this in early 2024. I remember, I think. And you've got Jeff Canini, am I saying that right? You know, Jeff from the Game Awards, saying that he saw this game last summer. So you're telling me from some point in early 2024 to now, Capcom scrapped everything with Jill in under 1 year, and then we got this version? I don't think that's part of, like, I know Capcom changes Resident Evil games. I know they do that, and sometimes we do get versions that they've been building for over a year. That does happen. But for them to scrap everything and then do new motion capture and write a new script with a new character, that seems impossible. That stuff seems like that stuff that they would have been working on for at least 2 to 3 years or something. Do you know what I mean? That seems impossible to just do and then scrap and then start over within that small time frame. I don't see that happening. The only other conclusion, right, is that Capcom from the very beginning was giving playtesters an alternative version so they could just test the gameplay and the mechanics, but they kept all the story details hidden by replacing it with like different models. So when people playtested it, they were like, oh, it's Jill, but it's not Jill. Like, this is going to be swapped over for a different model going forward. But then you also got the dialogue exchanges, because he says that in his playtest, you were playing as Jill and she was interacting with Chris over the radio. So what's that about? Are we actually going to play as Jill later on in this game, maybe? Is that the big twist? Like, we're going to go back to this area and Jill is actually the returning character, not Leon? Because everyone's saying Leon, but there's been no hints, no mentions of Leon being in this game. You know, I've got one YouTuber saying that, you know, they said that Leon is in the trailer, like, apparently, because I think Dust Golem said Leon is in the trailer, but I don't see him. Unless he's the hooded guy, but I don't see that being the case. So what the hell is going on here? Was Lutus fixed right and he played an alternative version of the game? Like, this is too much of a coincidence. That's the thing. It's too much of a coincidence. Like, when I started seeing those previews, I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? What's going on here? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he got lucky. But I don't know. Moving forward. So, yeah. I remember Dust Golem doing a post, right, again, pointing out his contradictions. He made a post and he said that Raccoon City wouldn't be like this big thing that you visit, right? Like, it's going to be like this small part or something that you go to and that's it. Here's the thing. Resident BioEvil, by the way, he analyzed the previews and that, and he discovered that the location that the mental asylum hospital is in is set in Raccoon City. Like, read it out. RE9's recent demo is set in the Rhodes Hill Cryonic Care Center. That's the name of the hospital, apparently. This cool name has tremendous significance as Rhodes Hill is mentioned in Outbreak File 2 Subway. Rhodes Hill is located just around Arkley, meaning the demo is in Raccoon City. So, surprise, surprise, if your knowledge with Outbreak 2 is very, very good, then you learn pretty much straight up that the location you are in the demo for RE9, it takes place in Raccoon City. It takes place in Raccoon City. This game takes place in Raccoon City. This isn't some small area you're going to go back to or visit. This isn't a globe-trotting adventure like people theorize. The location we are in takes place in Raccoon City, which just, it makes everything like, what is going on now? Because like now you're going to have to start questioning things, which is insane. Right? I mean, yeah, he analyzed it, he pointed out, yeah, this is a thing, yeah. So in other words, this game is going to start in a hotel where Grace is going to get kidnapped and she gets taken to Raccoon City to this Rhodes Hill Center, where they clearly, which makes now sense because another user pointed out how one of the sections in this game looked very similar to like the corridor from the original mansion. Now I don't think that's the mansion. I think that is a portion from, I think it is confirmed that is actually a portion taken from this demo that takes place in this location. So maybe it's a similar area that's designed by George Trevor perhaps. But yeah, this pretty much like confirms this game takes place in Raccoon City. We're going back to Raccoon City, and it's big time. This isn't like, oh, one area we're going to go to and that's it. No, we're in Raccoon City. We are 100% in Raccoon City, which is insane. That's crazy. And it's crazy that this game is tying so heavily to Outbreak of all games. Like, whoever saw that coming? Who thought back a few years ago, like, oh, I wonder when they're ever going to tie back to they're probably never going to do another Outbreak game. And then voila, they're doing it. It's like, what? Which is insane. But yeah, this also, again, like I said, this proves a lot of Dusk stuff wrong as well, because he was like, this, you know, Raccoon City isn't going to be, like, it's going to be important, but it's not going to be this big thing that people think it's going to be. Well, he was wrong. It is a big bloody thing. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I wanted to discuss. Like I just wanted to confirm to you guys, like, Lutus might be right, maybe, I don't know, and pointing out the contradictions that Dusk said, and the confirmation that, yeah, the game takes place in Raccoon City. This location that that Grace wakes up in is located in Raccoon City. So yeah, shocker. Like, that's crazy. Like, how's this all gonna tie together then? I have no idea, but that's insane. Like, and now the big question comes to who's the returning character thing, because a lot of the previews said that there is a returning character and they're armed and ready. From that description, so a lot of people are saying it's Leon. I do think it's Leon, but the whole armed and ready or something, whatever that was said, makes me wonder if it's Barry, because like he's the only character I know in the series that when we went back and we played, he was the only one that was armed and ready, you know, unless obviously Leon's sections are all action oriented and he goes into this knowing what to expect or something, so that's why he's armed and ready or something. I don't know. It's weird because a lot of the previews didn't mention a returning character and some did, so it's very, very weird where they're getting that information from, whether it's BS or they're making stuff up. So you got to keep that in mind. There's probably a lot of BS running around behind these previews. Like, a lot of it is probably not going to be accurate. But yeah, like a lot of the stuff I'm hearing now about this game, it sounds phenomenal. It sounds terrifying. The giant creature, Hag as they're calling her, sounds very much like a mix of Mr. X and the Xenomorph. So from watching just one preview of this game, apparently from how someone described it, it's very much like Alien Isolation, which is pretty cool. I just hope it's not going to get very repetitive and tiring, because that game was exhausting for me in terms of pacing length and mainly of stress. Like, that game nearly caused me to have a heart attack so many times. So I'm all for a scary RE game, but man, I do want that feeling of being able to replay it as many times as I want. So I hope this is one of those cases where it's like, oh no, like this is going to stop me from replaying this game multiple times. But yeah, great info. And I'm probably going to discuss some other stuff as well, including who the potential villain is. Because now that we know that this game takes place in Raccoon City itself, and it's not a globe-trotting adventure like we all assumed, it changes everything we know from what was revealed in that trailer. Because now it's like, what is up with that? But yeah, I'll probably go into that in another video separately. For now, this is all I wanted to do, discuss, and yeah, I can't wait to get more out of this game. Like, at this point, we just gotta wait till Gamescom, I guess, until we get like another trailer, maybe, fingers crossed, or a Capcom showcase probably for them to go into depth. Hopefully we do get a new trailer soon, and we do get confirmation of who the returning character is gonna be. But I imagine that's going to be like a super surprise reveal probably at the end of whatever new trailer we get. It's like, here you go, he's the returning character. That's how I see it happening. Because, you know, Capcom loves to market stuff in surprising ways. But yeah, guys, I hope you like this video. As always, remember to like and subscribe. And yeah, as always, I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care and bye.